Welcome back to Tech Talks from Commercial Baking. I'm your host, Maddie Lambert. In this episode, sponsored by Harpak-Ulma Packaging, I'm speaking with Josh Becker, Bakery and Confection Product Manager, and we are discussing the benefits of tray sealing for bakery packaging. Josh, it's so good to see you and chat with you today.
It's great to see you too, Maddie. I'm excited about this topic we're talking about.
Me too. Okay, so I want to start by just painting a picture for you. So let's say a consumer walks into a grocery store and they pick up a croissant. And they're associating this croissant with freshness, being made in store, maybe even being made that same day. But most of these products were shipped frozen and stocked. So I want to talk about the costly reality behind the fresh bakery experience and the many steps that actually go into that. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. And that's a great question to get us started with our conversation today. The bakery section of retail grocers has really changed dramatically over the last 15 to 20 years, as many of them have stopped kind of baking their own products from scratch. They're going to receive in bulk frozen dough pieces, maybe partially baked products, and even completely baked frozen items where all the store really needs to do is thaw, slack out the products and display in bread baskets or bins for individual purchase or into tubs or clamshells for multi-unit purchases. And now more often than ever, they arrive pre-packed in clamshells or tubs. There's been such an improvement in the quality of frozen bakery during this time, and the average consumer has no idea the supply chain of these products. I do want to keep focusing, though, on the ever familiar containers like clamshells and tubs with a snap-on lid. Although they have that fresh bakery appearance, they more than likely have had quite the supply chain journey. Labor-intensive packaging processes with many steps, denesting of clamshells, loading, which is mostly done manually, lid closing, applying ingredient and product labels, all those labor steps introduce variability and cost to the process. Then all those products are packed into cases and frozen. I mean, we have an entire cold chain of spiral freezers, refrigerated transport, and cold storage warehouses. All those steps come with a price tag that's added to the cost of the finished product and can erode the baker's margins. Then you need to deal with shelf life at the retailer once the product is thawed and displayed for customer purchase. There are a lot of steps that consumers typically don't see. But when you add it all up, the labor, the materials, the freezing, the shipping and warehousing, short shelf life, the fresh bakery starts to look a bit expensive. It's not a bad thing. It just happens to be the nature of the business today.
Absolutely. And I mean, every step that you just laid out, talk about an extensive supply chain process. And I know we've talked in the past about the benefits of flow wrapping for bakery packaging. It's fast, it's efficient, and it can be very cost effective, but it also has its own challenges. So can you walk me through some of those?
Yeah, and I think the key is here there is no one size fits all for the packaging of bakery products. And that is why we have so many different methods of packaging these products. We've seen a lot of growth in flow wrapping lately. This technology works best for products that are relatively easy to convey, place into a tube of film, and often at high rates of speed. It's a great option. The challenge comes, though, when you have multiple groups of products that makes loading the machine more difficult. Some tough products may even require a paper board or a paper or plastic tray to even flow wrap effectively. You also must worry about product protection and will the flow wrap effectively keep those products from being damaged during shipment. You can also freeze the flow wrap products as well, but you'll run into the similar challenges and costs that we just talked about with clamshell style packaging. What we see being flow wrapped today is a lot more of a one-time use or an instant consumable products, or it's flow wrapping of products that are already in a primary package, like cookies and crackers, and the flow wrap becomes the secondary packaging. That all adds up to additional packaging materials.
So that brings us to tray sealing, the topic of the hour. It's an innovative packaging solution and it's simple. It's a preformed tray, a thin top film sealed with heat. So I have a question for you, and it's a two-parter. How is this solution helping with current packaging process challenges? And then on the other side of it, how can this also help bakers achieve their sustainability goals?
Great question. So, in our opinion, we feel tray sealing simplifies the automation of the packaging process. Now, quick disclaimer, it may not be the best packaging method for all products, but there are quite a few that should be a consideration. Essentially, anything in a clamshell today. For tray seal, we'll use a slightly more rigid pre-made tray, or even paper trays are an option, and they are gaining more popularity. But it'll be much easier to denest and convey over the hinged clamshell package. With a clamshell or two-piece container, after product loading, you must snap on a lid or close the top of the clamshell by pinching or clamping the corners. And then you have to apply a product or ingredient label wrapped around the top and bottom, which needs to be there to act as the tamper evidence. On the tray seal application, you really only need to load, index the trays into the sealing station, apply the lid film. Printed film is an option, and that eliminates the need for labeling. And there's your finished package. We feel it's a much more concise, efficient, and reliable operation. Now, you talked about sustainability goals. I think this is where the advantage really starts to play out. Sustainability is a growing priority across the industry, but it has to make economic sense. Tray sealing is one of those rare areas where sustainability and profitability move in the same direction. A tray seal packaging isn't new, it's just new to bakery. In our other market segments, we are typically seeing 20 to even 50% reduction in packaging materials when moving from a clamshell style package to a tray and top film application. That alone can really drive some sustainability goals. But that's not the only advantage we are seeing. With tray sealing, you can also have a peel and reseal capabilities on your top lid film for convenience and freshness. So we call this, extension of the pantry life of the product. You can boost food safety with reliable barrier protection and tamper evidence. Using those same barriers in the packaging material, you can also use MAP or modified atmosphere packaging, and that can drive extensions to product shelf life. Considering current bakery packaging methods, sometimes a few days of shelf life extension can be a complete game changer.
So everything that you just talked about, profitability, food safety, shelf life, sustainability, there are so many benefits to tray sealing. But it's hard to shift a collective mindset of this is how we've always done it, this is what we're familiar with, this is what we know. So I'm curious, with the benefits of this solution so stark in comparison, why do you think now is the best time to start the conversation around tray sealing with bakery packaging?
Sure. We talked early about the cold chain process to achieve the fresh bakery appearance at retail grocers and the costs associated with it. What if, instead of the cold chain process, the MAP process of the tray sealed product was an alternative? Let me say that a different way. What if you didn't need to freeze your products and MAP packaging gave you the shelf life you needed to maintain the fresh bakery appearance? I know that's several what ifs, but those are the questions we need to start asking for this industry and why tray seal is something that should seriously be considered. As a baker, do you want your products to stand out on shelf or just look the same as all your competitors? Tray sealing allows brands to stand out with unique packaging. The environment is changing. Labor is continually hard to find. Cold chain costs are rising. Retailers are demanding sustainability, and shelf competition is certainly increasing. Packaging is no longer just a container, it is a lever for cost, shelf life, and brand differentiation. The industry has spent decades optimizing recipes and production, but the next gains won't come from the oven, they'll come from the package.
Wow, I love that you said that it's a lever to all of this brand differentiation and competitor advantage. I mean, it's so true with this solution. So I just have one more question for you. What
Sure.
is the best way for a baker to get in touch and learn more about tray sealing?
There's several ways. One, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with Harpak-Ulma on LinkedIn. Always have our website, www.harpak-alma.com. We've got resources available to teach you more, and we're looking forward to having conversations with all of you.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for your time today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and learning more about what Harpak Alma's doing within the packaging realm. So I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Maddie, so much. My pleasure.